Good day, dear students. Today, I'm going to discuss the first part of Chapter 4, Problem Solving and Reasoning. I'm Miss Ernita Intod, your video lecturer for today. Problem Solving and Reasoning. In this chapter, I'm going to discuss about inductive reasoning, deductive reasoning, inductive versus deductive reasoning, and the last one is problem-solving strategy. Let's define first reasoning. In logic, reasoning is the drawing of inferences or conclusions from known or assumed facts. There are two major types of reasoning. The first one is inductive reasoning, and the second one is deductive reasoning. For inductive reasoning, it is defined as the process of reaching a general conclusion by examining specific examples. The conclusion formed by using inductive reasoning is called conjecture, since it may or may not be correct. When you examine a list of numbers and predict the next number in the list according to some pattern you have observed, you are using inductive reasoning. For our first example, use inductive reasoning to predict the next number in the following list. So for the first one, we have the given sequence 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. So i-identify natin kung ano ang next number after kay 15. So to solve that one, so, copy lang natin yung sequence ng number, no? Ayan. So, take note that each successive number is 3 larger than the preceding number. Okay? So, we can predict that the next number in the list is 3 larger than 15. And that is 18. Okay? So, the answer would be 18. For our next example, given the sequence 1, 3, 6, 10, and 15, so we're going to predict the next number after kay 15 using inductive reasoning. To solve this one, so copy lang natin yung numbers ng sequence. We have 1, 3, 6, 10, and 15. So, we're going to look for a pattern, no, from this given sequence. And take note that the difference between 1 and 3 is 2, and the difference between 3 and 6 is 3. The difference between 6 and 10 is 4, and the difference between 10 and 15 is 5. So kung mapapansin natin, yung difference nila is always 1 more than the preceding difference, right? So, we can predict that the next number in the list will be 6 larger than 15. Okay? So, this will give us 21. Okay? So, the answer would be 21. For our example number 2, we're going to use inductive reasoning to make a conjecture about an arithmetic procedure. So here's the procedure. Pick a number, multiply it by 8, add 6 to the product, divide the sum by 2, and subtract 3. Now, we're going to complete the procedure above for several different numbers. Use inductive reasoning to make a conjecture about a relationship between the size of the resulting number and the size of the original number. Okay, to solve this one, suppose we pick 5 as the original number. Then we're going to follow the procedure. Then we will have these following results. So the original number we pick is 5. Next is we're going to multiply it by 8. So we will have 8 times 5 and this will give us 40. Next, we are going to add 6 to the product. Since the product is 40, we add 6 to it and this will give us 46. Next, we divide the sum by 2. Since the sum is 46, we divided it by 2. This will give us 23. Next, we're going to subtract 3 from 23. So we will have 23 minus 3 and this will give us 20. Note that we have started with 5 and follow the procedure and we get 20. Okay, so we're going to pick another number. So suppose we pick 6 as the original number and then we're going to follow the given procedure. Then we will have these following results. The original number we pick is 6. Next, we're going to multiply it by 8. So we will have 8 times 6 and this will give us 48. Next, we're going to add 6 to the product. Since the product is 48, we add 6 to it, so this will give us 54. Next is we divide the sum by 2. Since the sum is 54, we divided it by 2, so this will give us 27. Then, next is we subtract 3 to 27. So we'll have 27 minus 3 equals 24. So, meaning we started with 6 as our original number and ended up with 24. So next, we pick also another number. So suppose we pick 10 as the original number. And then we follow the procedure given. Then we have this one. Since the original number is 10, we multiply it by 8. So we'll have 8 times 10. This will give us 80. And then next is we add 6 to the product. So we have 80 plus 6. This will give us 86. Next is we're going to divide the sum by 2. So since the sum is 86, we divide it by 2. This will give us 43. And then we subtract 3 from 43. So this will give us 40. Hence, we started with 10 as our original number and got a final result of 40. Okay, so given this procedure, kung mapapansin natin, if we pick 5 as our original number, we ended up with 20. If we start again with 6 as our original number, we get a final result of 24. And if we started with 10, following the procedure, we get a final result of 40. So hence, in each case, the resulting number is 4 times the original number. Hence, we conjecture that the following given procedure produces a number that is 4 times the original number. Deductive reasoning. Deductive reasoning is a process of reaching a conclusion by applying general assumptions, procedures, or principles. Okay, for our example, use deductive reasoning to show that the following procedure produces a number that is 4 times the original number. So, given this procedure, pick a number, multiply it by 8, add 6 to the product, divide the sum by 2, and subtract 3. So, to solve this one, we introduce a variable, so say n. to represent as the original number. Okay? So the next step is we're going to multiply this number by 8. So since the number we pick, or we have an arbitrary that is n, so 8 times n, this will give us 8n. Next is we add 6 to the product, that is 8n plus 6, since the product is 8n. So that's why we have 8n plus 6. The next step is we divide the sum by 2. Since the sum is 8n plus 6, we simply divide that by 2, and this will give us 4n plus 3. Okay? Next is we subtract 3 from 4n plus 3. So we will have 4n plus 3 minus 3, and this will give us 4n. So hence, we started with n and ended with 4n. So meaning, yung procedure na gina-follow natin produces a number na 4 times, or that is produces a number that is 4 times the original number. Okay, next is we have inductive reasoning versus deductive reasoning. The main difference between inductive and deductive reasoning is that inductive reasoning aims at developing a theory, while deductive reasoning aims at testing an existing theory. Inductive reasoning moves from specific observations to broad generalization, and deductive reasoning is the other way around. For our example, determine whether each of the following arguments is an example of inductive reasoning or deductive reasoning. So here's the first example. During the past 10 years, a tree has produced mangoes every other year. Last year, the tree did not produce mangoes. So this year, the tree will produce mangoes. So take note here that in this argument, it reaches a conclusion based on specific examples. Okay? So therefore, this is an example of inductive reasoning. For our second example, all home improvements cost more than the estimate. The contractor estimated that my home improvement will cost 135,000. Thus, my home improvement will cost more than 135,000. So since here, the conclusion is a specific case of a general assumption, therefore, we can say that this argument is an example of deductive reasoning. In this topic, problem-solving strategy, there were many mathematicians such as Euclid, Pappus, René Descartes, Gottfried Wilhelm Leibniz were interested in solving mathematical problems, but they were also interested in heuristics, the study of the methods and rules of discovery and invention. One of the foremost recent mathematicians to make a study of problem solving was George Polya. He was born in Hungary in 1887 and received his PhD at the University of Budapest and was a professor at Stanford University. George Polya published the book How to Solve It, a new aspect of mathematical method which later became a widely accepted design of how students should proceed with problem-solving process. Although the book generally revolves around mathematical problems, Polya emphasized that the same strategy can be applied when students encounter real-life problems. He also devised a systematic strategy for solving problems that is now referred to by his name. That is the Polya 4-step problem-solving strategy. George Polya defines this problem solving as an act to find a way out of difficulty, to find a way around an obstacle, to find a way where none is known, and attain a desired end that is not immediately attainable by direct means. Polya's four-step problem-solving strategy. So the first step is understand the problem. So there are some questions here that help us to understand the problem. First one is, can you restate the problem in your own words? So try natin na restate yung problem in our own words. Next, can you determine what is known about these types of problems? Or is there missing information that, if known, would allow you to solve as the problem? Or is there extraneous information that is needed to solve the problem? What is the goal? So for the next step is devise a plan. So after understanding the problem, we have to devise a plan. So ito yung procedure or some procedures that we're going to do when devising a plan. So first one is make a list of the known information, or make a list of information that is needed. Draw a diagram. Make an organized list that shows all possibilities. Make a table or a chart. Work backwards. Try to solve a similar but simpler problem. Look for a pattern. Write an equation. If necessary, define what each variable represents. Perform an experiment. Guess at a solution and then check your result. Okay? So after this step, we're going to carry out the plan. So the third step is carrying out the plan. So in carrying out the plan, we have to work carefully or keep an accurate and neat record of all your attempts. Realize that some of your initial plans will not work and that you may have to devise another plan or modify your existing plan. Next is we have to review the solution. Okay? So this is the last step and we have to ensure that the solution is consistent with the facts of the problem. Next one is interpret the solution in the context of the problem. And ask yourself whether there are generalizations or the solution that could apply to other problems. For our example number 1, during a family gathering last Christmas, Angel was able to collect 12 monetary bills consisting of 20 peso bills and 50 peso bills from her titos and titas. She received a total of 390 pesos from them. How many each bill Angel received? So we're going to apply here the Polya's four-step problem-solving strategy. Okay, so the first step is understand the problem. So in understanding the problem, so remember na itry natin i-restate yung problem into our own words. Okay, or we put ourselves into that situation to relate, no? Para makarelate tayo sa problem na yan. So here, we're going to distribute 12 bills into 2 portions. Kasi merong 12 monetary bills na na-receive si Angel. Okay? So, for the second step, devise a plan. We're going to use or perform guess and check here, or trial and error. So, we're just going to split 12 into 2 portions. And there are only 11 ways to do that. So, there will be 11 plus 1, or 10 plus 2, 9 plus 3, and so on and so forth na mga distributions. So, suppose merong 11 20 peso bills and 1 50 peso bills. So, we will have 11 times 20 plus 1 times 50 is just equal to 217 in all. And suppose, and vice versa, we will have 11 50 peso bills and 1 20 peso bills. So we will have 11 times 50 plus 1 times 20. And the total amount would be 570. So take note, sa kinuha natin dito na distribution, walang nag-equal na 390 pesos. So ang gagawin natin dito, we're going to determine which distribution of bills yields the amount of 390. For the next step, we'll have carry out the plan. So in carrying out the plan, so gawa lang tayo ng table. We have that one. So we have the number of 20 peso bills, number of 50 peso bills, and also the total amount. So suppose merong 11 na number of 20 peso bills, tapos 1 number of 50 peso bills. So the total amount would be 11 times 20 plus 1 times 50, and this will give us 270. Okay? Next, suppose merong 10 na 20 peso bills and 2 50 peso bills. So the total amount would be 10 times 20 plus 2 times 50. This will give us 300. Okay? Next is we'll have 9 20 peso bills and 3 50 peso bills. So the total amount would be 9 times 20 plus 3 times 50. And this will give us 330. So take note, wala pang total amount na 390 na nakuha natin. So magkuha pa tayo ng ibang distribution until we get 390 pesos. Okay? So next is 8 times 20 or 8 20 peso bills and 4 50 peso bills. So we'll have 8 times 20 plus 4 times 50. This will give us 360. Okay? So again, hindi pa rin siya nag-equal sa 390. So we will find another distribution. Suppose we will have 7 20 peso bills and 50 or 5 50 peso bills. So the total amount would be 7 times 20 plus 5 times 50 is equal to 390. So take note here, ito na distribution, we get 390 pesos. Okay? So this would be the answer. 7 20 peso bills and 5 50 peso bills. Next step is review the solution. So after carrying out the plan, we have to review our solution. So we're just going to complete the table. So since hanggang 7 na tayo kanina, so i-complete lang natin yung tables, no? So we will have 6. Suppose 6 20 peso bills and 6 50 peso bills. So the total amount would be 6 times 20 plus 6 times 50. This will give us 420. Next distribution, we have 5 times 20 peso bills and 7 50 peso bills. So this will give us 5 times 20 plus 7 times 50 is equal to 450. Next is 4 20 peso bills and 8 50 peso bills. So the total amount will be 4 times 20 plus 8 times 50. This will give us 480. Next is 3 20 peso bills and 9 50 peso bills. So the total amount would be 3 times 20 plus 9 times 50. This will give us 510. Next, we have 2 20 peso bills and 10 50 peso bills. So the total amount would be 2 times 20 plus 10 times 50 equals 40 plus 50. This will give us 540. So the last one is we have 1 20 peso bills and 11 50 peso bills. So the total amount would give us 570 in all. So take note na sa distribution natin or sa table natin, isa lang yung nag-result na 390. So hence, the answer is 720 peso bills and 550 peso bills. So there are another way or merong another way to solve this kind of problem. And it is in algebraic process where we introduce variables in the solution. So the first step here is understand the problem. So again, remember, so try to restate the problem in our own words so that we can relate the problem or mas madaling maintindihan natin yung problem. Next, devise a plan. So since in this question, in the example number 1, there are two unknowns, no? So we will introduce variables here, suppose x and y. So we'll let x be the number of 20 peso bills and y to be the number of 50 peso bills. Okay? So since there are 12 paper bills na na-receive na Angel, so we can have an equation. So the equation would be x plus y equals 12. And this would be our equation 1. So the amount of 20 peso bills is 20x, where x is the number of 20 peso bills, while the amount of 50 bills is 50y, where y is the number of 50 peso bills. So we can have this equation, 20x plus 50y is just equal to 390, since yung na-receive na Angel is 390 pesos. So this would be our second equation, or equation 2. So here, we're going to solve the system of equations into unknowns to find the answer. Okay? So in the next step, carry out the plan. So we're going to use substitution method. Okay? So, in equation 1, we have x plus y equals 12. We can use this equation, okay, to have another equation. Say, we're going to solve y in terms of x in this equation 1. So we can have y equals 12 minus x. Since we transpose x to the right side, so that's why we will have negative x here. So next, we're going to substitute y equals 12 minus x to equation 2. Okay? So, since the equation 2 is 20x plus 50y equals 390, substitute y equals 12 minus x. So we can have 20x plus 50. Since y is 12 minus x, substitute that 1 to y. So we will have 50 times 12 minus x quantity equals 390. So we'll just going to distribute 50, no? 50 to 12 and 50 distributed natin doon kay negative x. So we can have copy yung 20x plus 50 times 12 is 600 and 50 times negative x is negative 50x. Copy lang din yung 390. So next is combine like terms. So we'll have 20 minus 50. Copy lang yung variable x is just equal to 390. So transpose natin yung 600 to the right side. So we will have negative 600. So 20 minus 50 is negative 30x, no? Copy lang yung variable x. And 390 minus 600 is equal to negative 210. So we'll have negative 30x equals negative 210. Divide both sides by negative 30. So we'll have x equals 7. So we're going to substitute x equals 7 to equation y equals 12 minus x. So in this equation, so we can have y equals 12 minus 7 since x is equal to 7. And 12 minus 7 is equal to 5. Therefore, the answer would be 7 20 peso bills and 5 50 peso bills, since x is the number of 20 peso bills and y is the number of 50 peso bills. Next is, we're going to review the solution. So, we're going to check, no, the total amount. So next is, since the equation 2, no, is the equation for the total amount, no, so we can have 20x plus 50y equals, note that x is equal to 7, so we will have 20 times 7 plus 50 times, since y is equal to 5, so we'll have 50 times 5. Next is 20 times 7 is equal to 140 and 50 times 5 is equal to 250. And the total is 390. Therefore, Our final answer is 7 20 peso bills and 5 50 peso bills.